we had a very rocky history. We were incorporated in Tennessee as a non-profit mutual benefit corporation. That is not a co-op, and it wasn't recognized as a co-op by the IRS. So we didn't have a really good, there are some really good tax benefits to being a co-op, and it helps to stabilize what we're trying to do. In 2005, well, up until that point, we worked really hard. I started in 2000 to incorporate the community-wide co-ops, so we could actually share, people could actually buy equity in our co-op, and so it became like a club. And so we did reincorporate, and we had to reincorporate in state and code, because there are not any corporation options for consumer co-ops in Tennessee. And that might be something that we're working on, but right now, most of a lot of co-ops in the South work around the rules in their state. So non-benefit co-op in Atlanta is incorporated in Wisconsin. Good Foods Co-op in Lexington is incorporated in Vermont. So there's been a lot of workarounds for co-ops in the South, and I think it also has something to do with why there's so few of us. It would be great to have more of us. We'll just walk through some of these, and if you have any questions as we go along, please just interrupt me. That would be a relief to me. Don't feel like you're hurting me. We have had a couple people try. None of those businesses have survived, and we don't have any right now. But we are open to, we have a very extensive buying program with local farmers and food producers, and we will try anything to begin with as long as it meets our product standards. And we look at ourselves as sort of a second-tier incubator for food businesses. So we'll give you good shelf space. We manage the pricing in a way we're very transparent with what we would pay for comparable products, and try to work with people to build their businesses up. We also work with local businesses that want access to local and organic foods and try to connect them, or they can buy through us. So we have a small wholesale business, but it's mainly just to help other small businesses, lots of times startups that aren't able to buy enough to get a truck delivery or something like that. So we use something called policy governance for our board, and basically they create sort of our long-term vision. This is the long-term vision for us right now that they've created, and then operationally we try to figure out what that means. So right now our interpretation is that our local and cooperative economy is ethical, sustainable, and strong. Our community has access to healthy food. Our natural world is respected, protected, and restored, and our people are happy. And then we try to make sure that everything we do aligns with that, and of course with the cooperative values and principles. So we are really experiencing rapid growth right now. We almost can't quite deal with it. It's a good problem to have, as they say, but it's been really interesting that we're in this sort of third wave of co-op development that we really didn't see coming in our community. This is the growth of our ownership. In fiscal year 10-11 is when we moved. We used to be in a house, basically. It was a boarding house, a little bit bigger than a house, but it was a pretty bad situation, and we finally purchased property, developed it less than a mile from where we were, and our ownership just grew really, really rapidly. We're at over 7,000 member owners now, so local owners of our co-op. We are open to non-owners, so 64% of our sales are to owners. We'd like to have that be higher, but we are open to everybody. We have special deals for owners, but anyone can shop in our store and get most of the same pricing. Is it one store? One store, essentially.
How diverse is that group of 7,000?
We do not collect that information. We don't know.
So you can give me an estimate of how ethnic participants? Or?
I mean, I can say it probably reflects Knoxville, which is not very diverse. But we don't collect that information, and all we know is kind of where people live per zip code. It's probably something we should be doing. It would be a board decision, but we really don't know.
So are you in a food desert in Knoxville?
We are technically in a food desert, and I will say that all the designations of food deserts by the government do not count us as alleviating that. So formally, if you look, it will still say it's a food desert, even though we've been there for 4 years. But, I think that it needs to be a supermarket to change
Full
that
service, yeah.
formal, you know.
Yeah.
But yes, we are technically in a food desert. So, we work together with other co-ops, and we're striving to build a cooperative trade network where you really focus on getting your food from other co-ops and from local, small businesses. This is a program that we're in, starting nationally with 8 or 9 other co-ops, where we try to focus in on how can we have a program that helps people understand how important it is to buy from other co-ops and other small and local businesses. We use this concept even in our donations and our sponsorships of events and things in our city. So we don't, if you're gonna get a sponsorship from, say, AT&T, we probably won't do it. We try to work and pool our resources with other small businesses and local businesses to put things on. It's interesting how much people don't get that or don't really understand why you're doing that, but we just feel it's important that we're kind of working together with and to build this all up at the same time. And so we monitor what our sales are of these kinds of products, track them in our point of sale system, and right now it's growing, it's at 36%.
So is this a consumer co-op?
Yes, we're a
basically?
consumer co-op.
And then, are you guys servicing by making the outreach to the producers and the consumers, or are you pulling them all together, or how do you become a member? By being a producer or by being a consumer?
Consumer. We don't have other classes of membership right now. There is a model in North Carolina where it's a hybrid worker and consumer co-op, which I have strong support for. Our board hasn't been interested in that yet, but I think that's, if you had sort of a multi-stakeholder, and we could do it, we're set up to do it, where you had producer memberships and worker memberships and consumers, it would bring everybody to the table, so to speak. But right now, no, we're just consumers. So anyone who, technically don't even have to shop there, but most of it are people who own the store that you're shopping in. And our people who work there can be owners too. So you can own the place you work in, but it's not the same thing. We do work with other co-ops across the country. Most recently, we made a loan to the 7-9 Food Co-op in Atlanta, which was having struggles, and we pulled together 5 other co-ops to lend them cash to stabilize their operations, and they're doing a lot better. So one of the things we do try to do is always be aware, particularly in the southern co-ops, of how everybody's doing and whether or not we can help out. Is a good reason to kind of keep things going well so that you can help out in other co-ops. And then these at the top are just other co-ops that we're members of. They're producers. One of our big focuses is on contribution to the local economy. We started trying to track, we don't have any kind of multiplier built into this, but trying to track how much we contribute back to the local economy based on decisions we've made. We use a community bank, a locally owned bank. We have tried to work with credit unions, but we haven't had one that was willing to do lending to businesses, so we went with the community bank. We don't have any kind of tax breaks. I don't know about this community, but our community uses tax incremental financing a lot for things that we don't feel like are necessary, and then maybe we can do that for other things. So we actually pay our property taxes and we pay back our loans. And then just who we buy products from and how much we contribute back. We have 3 types of ways to think about local products, and that's just because there is no one way that everyone uses, and there's some controversy, so we just decided to say, here's 3 different ways to look at it, and we'll mark it accordingly. So East Tennessee is within 100 miles of our market within the state of Tennessee, while regional is more southern Appalachian. And then regional includes all of Tennessee and or within 275 miles, and that's a reference to a USDA marker of 275. Our local sales grow, or continue to grow. They're 29% of our total sales at this point. This is our total store sales at the end of the fiscal year ending in June, and how many customer visits we had.
I'm sorry, what's the difference between the local sales and what you just showed?
Local sales are products that are local, like
Oh,
locally
okay.
made, so, yeah, that doesn't really read quite right, but, so it's, these are some of our top local East Tennessee producers, and so we don't have as many, I don't even think as Nashville, but certainly not on Western North Carolina. So one of our goals is to try to build people up to start more businesses and to give them a place to go straight into, say, if they're already at the farmer's market, to give you another place to go, because it's good to have 2 or 3 sources of income that you can bank on. And of course, most of our farmers markets are closed in the winter. So these are our top ones, just to show people how much we use. Yes.
Most of your products, like food-based products, or are there any locally made clothing items or locally made other items besides food?
Mostly food. We're open to other things. We haven't really been approached about clothing or anything like that. But if it's anything, it's almost always tied to food, like shopping bags that are locally made, or sometimes cups and things like that. But we haven't, candles, people have brought in. We haven't had any lumbering clothing, but we're open to pretty much anything if we have a way to merchandise it effectively, so that they, because we want to sell it, and we bring it in, we want to give it the top priority and help them be successful. We've also participated in Gem Farm. It's not frankly gone too well, but Kiva, which is a global micro-lending program, they have a pilot program for the United States where farms, if they have a trustee or someone that vouches for them, they can raise interest-free loans. And we started that with the Gem Farm to help them raise money for their farm. So we trying to figure out other ways we can develop that can't get access. So we are a natural foods co-op, and we are interested in ethical sourcing and ingredients, sustainable seafood and humane animal care. So organic sales have risen quite a bit as well, just a little bit over last year, but they account for 39% of our sales. One of the issues we have there that's causing us to rethink it is we've been an EBT store forever, but we're having a real hard time becoming a WIC vendor, which is something we really want to do, because in Tennessee they don't allow you to sell things to WIC recipients with that tender if it's organic, except for produce. And so, you know, organic milk, I mean, a lot of things that people do want to choose when they're pregnant or have small children, you're not allowed to put on the WIC program. So we're trying to figure out how to deal with that and bring in some products that would allow us to be a vendor that may not match our quality standards, but then would enable people to come at least about produce.
2 quick questions. What are the regulations around you being a potential WIC vendor? And then what have been the, I guess, the community conversation or implications around that? For instance, here in Nashville and Antioch, when they wanted to open up a new, I guess, a WIC center, people were like, no, we don't want that out here. We don't want those things out here. And it's like, these are for women and children, right? But there was a big controversy in Antioch because they thought it was going to bring a certain element to the community. So I'm just curious around in Knoxville, where I'm born and raised,
Yeah.
what does that conversation look like?
We're not, people want us to do it, so I can't imagine, that sounds horrible. I can't imagine.
It was.
I can't imagine, like, we're real close to the health department. I mean, we're like across the street. So everyone that goes to get WIC goes right across the street. So we're like, we should be a place that people can come. And then we were also willing, we had heard from some of our fellow co-ops in some states like Minnesota, where they have a lot more action, that they have been able to get involved because they would say, which we're willing to say, we'll sell, if you're using WIC, we'll sell at a lower price to you to meet the qualifications of the state. And they don't really want to talk to us about that. You know, it's anything innovative seems to be really difficult. Now, there are rules that come down from the federal government about WIC, and then the state can put other layers on. So for us, it's something as simple as there's a lot of lobbying about which foods get in that program. And so for some things, it's very brand specific. So they were like, oh, you have to sell this brand of cornflakes. So it's like, we don't sell that brand of cornflakes. We only have a distributor for that brand can we not sell this one that's exactly the same but doesn't use high fructose corn syrup? Can we not use that one? No. So it's just been this constant negotiation to try to figure out, can we be a part of this that we want to do, and we're willing to make a lot of compromises, but it's extremely difficult. Did you?
Yeah, I'm a little behind the conversation. It is way
Women, infants, and children is a federal program that you get basically vouchers so that you can pay for food, healthy food, from the time you're pregnant until your child is, I think, 6. So it's just a great program. You know, we take EBT too, and a lot of people on that, but this is very specific to certain products. But our interpretation of what is healthy is not the same interpretation of healthy that the restrictions are based on. We're gonna get it though. We got almost figured it out. But it's, you know, it's, you think it's gonna be, of course you should do it, and then it becomes a little hard. So we do a lot of things in the environmental community. It seems to be what draws a lot of people to us. We invested in solar panels last year through the TVA program. Basically, we generate electricity. We don't literally use it. And then we get credit back on our utility bill. The great thing about this is if you're in it for the long haul and you're going to be there a long time, which you tend to be, then it pays for itself in 10 years, and then after 10 years, you're just making money for the co-op by generating clean energy.
So is this evidence of a co-op working? The consumers pooled their shares together to purchase this solar thing, or
No,
how?
not necessarily. Well, it's kind of complicated, but we don't actually, our co-op right now is financially stable. We don't spend our members' money if we don't have to. So we use that as our financial base, our stability, and we run our store efficiently, and we bought these through our store proceeds, and we try to keep that money there just as emergency money. So we don't spend that money right now. We just have it there as an equity investment from our members.
How did you all get the solar system?
We bought it.
You bought it?
Yes.
Okay.
We bought it with proceeds from our operations.
Okay.
And we could have borrowed money. We already borrowed a lot of money to build that building, so we didn't really want to borrow any more money, and we were able to pay for them. It was kind of a risk because it's a real slow payback, but we're doing good enough to do that right now. I'm sorry.
So the decision to get the solar panels, was that, did the members were they involved in that decision of how that money's spent? Those capital, the board made?
Yeah. Our board is elected from our membership. I would say that's a pretty easy one. I ended up being the one kind of resisting it. Like, we should be careful about this. Should we spend this money? Our board was really, really hot to do it. So the board is elected to represent those interests. I think if they had felt there was any disinterest, they would have had meetings about it, and then people come to our board meetings and talk about it. But it was remarkable how overwhelmingly supportive people were of that choice.
So I had a quick question, this is my last question.
No, please.
So in one of our discussions up there was pushback from 2 of the people that said, boards, we don't really, for co-ops, we don't necessarily want, boards, because we're thinking of this whole different paradigm and ideology of getting away from that. We're the board, you're the worker type of thing, right? So how did you manage that in developing your co-ops where it doesn't have that backlash of being, this is the same type of paradigm, same type of ideology moving forward?
It's still there. I mean, I don't think it goes away. I mean, I feel it. I'm the board, as the general manager, I'm the board's only employee. And there are times I'm like, I don't even know what we do every day. So there's friction. I mean, not bad friction, I don't think, but it is a thing. And I think sometimes, our employees don't know who these people are. And we just try to say, please just come to the meetings, and so you can see that they're just the same people coming in and shopping in the store. So the difference to me a little bit is that they are just the people coming in and shopping in the store. They aren't remote from the operations to that extent. Now, we do have people who run for our board that don't shop, that have some other, you're not even sure what their interest is exactly. So it's not perfect at all, but I think even in a worker co-op, there's usually a board, because there's usually governance decisions to be made versus operational decisions. Our situation right now is sort of, I would call it a golden age. I mean, it's pretty good. There's not a lot of interference by our board in our operations. They have a lot of respect for what we do, and they focus on the long-range planning and the overall financial stability of the co-op. But I would say that I don't think you can get rid of that. I mean, structurally, we legally have to have a board, the way we're incorporated. And that the board's elected from the members, and we actually struggle with getting people to run for our board and to be involved at that level. So,
Do y'all have a DC center that the merchandise that you purchase come into and distribute the other location, or all of it come to
just to
individual,
us, yes.
individual stores?
Well, we just have the one store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we had thought about that, if we wanted to open other stores, not only to distribute, but to have a warehouse where our business members could come and to get their stuff for their businesses, where you could maybe get cheaper pricing if you just came to the warehouse and bought like 50 pounds of oats instead of like shopping in a store. So we are looking at that model as a way to keep pricing down, where people could come to a different model, kind of go backwards to the old buying club idea, and offer people that choice. And so that's one thing I'm really interested in, because I think that if our goal is to try to keep prices as low as possible, we're going to have alternatives where we're not having to worry so much about the appearance and the experience in the store. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Back on the solar panels, solar system, are you structured in a way that you can take advantage of the tax credits for the solar system?
Co-ops can't. Co-ops, there are solar tax credits, and co-ops can't really use them unless they can use them all in 1 year. And so there's some really, we're in an empowerment zone. In Knoxville, we had an empowerment zone for 10 years. We're in there, and we racked up some credits because almost all of our employees live in the empowerment zone, but we aren't able to carry them over. And so we lost a lot of those. And that's just a weird thing about the way that co-ops are treated. Co-ops and trusts and other things are treated with those credits. So, no, we should have, but we didn't get to. Yes, sir.
What's the distinction you're drawing between members and owners? I noticed that there are different percentages in terms of owner sales and member sales.
Well, we have a very, very broad payment plan. So the equity investment to be a full member owner is $250. It's set by our board, but we have a 10-year payment plan. So you only have to pay $25 a year to maintain your membership. But if you're late or whatever, there's a moment in time where somebody could be an owner of some membership interest, but not up to date, and would be an owner and not a member. So we've struggled with how to talk about that because at any given time, we're not exactly sure where that balance is, because it's like an everyday thing. So if you're in a payment plan and you may be late, maybe some people even leave town for a while, come back and start it back up, you would be technically an owner of equity in the co-op, but not a full member.
Okay. And how many square feet are you?
I'm sorry?
How many square feet? is the
That's
store?
about 10,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Is it a different price to be a member? I mean, is that, when you say owner, is that the same thing, an owner member, or is that?
Yes,
Oh,
so,
okay. I thought they were two different things.
part of this has to then you went away for a year. So right then you'd be an owner, but you probably didn't keep up with that fourth one or fifth one, and so then you're not a member anymore. And that's just a line for like, can you run for the board? Can you vote for the board? Are you getting certain benefits? And you can also petition to get your equity purchased back. Our board has always said yes. So we'd probably repurchase, mainly for people moving out of town, I think like $20,000 worth of equity. So it's a refundable, we like to say it's a low-risk investment because you can get it back if you decide to leave the community. If the co-op got in trouble, they'd probably stop doing that, but you're just kind of letting us sit there with the money on the balance sheet, basically.
So,
Okay.
Does Knoxville have, so Nashville has a city-operated farmer's market with a 5-person board with, each of them are mayoral appointees. Does Knoxville have a municipal farmer's market? And then if not, what is Three Rivers' relationship with, say, area farmers markets, and do you all collaborate, and is there generally kind of a, farm-to-table community in Knoxville?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty strong. We have several farmers markets. The biggest one is in Market Square downtown. It's run by it used to be run by the Merchants Association. As it's grown, they've spun off last year to be run by a nonprofit that's brand new. We heavily support them, mainly through advertising that we buy to support their local food guide. We were a sponsor of it periodically. It just depends on what they're doing. We currently sponsor one at the University of Tennessee that focuses on their connection, the ag extension connection with local farms, which means we buy advertising for it and then fund their farm manager. There's some other ones in the county we don't have as close a relationship with, only because they haven't approached us. We have looked at trying to sponsor one closer into our neighborhood, but we really have a very tight relationship with both of them, particularly Market Square. Most of the farmers, they'll come deliver to us based on when they're gonna go to the market, and they all come back and eat in the store afterwards. So we've considered that. We also act as a CSA drop-off. So I think some people think, oh, isn't that competition? It's all the same thing as far as we're concerned. So whether or not you want to just use our parking lot or you need temporary refrigeration or something, we work with people who are trying to do that throughout the year, so in the winter and then in the summer. Yes?
Stevens, I'm really new to the thought process and things about co-ops. So you usually, like, someone can have a membership or ownership and if they leave, then they may get it bought back from them. You use the language of a low-risk investment. So does that mean there's a potential for owner to get a return on that investment some kind of way? How does that?
So that's really a great question, thank you. So in co-ops, you have an option of doing something called a patronage dividend, based on how much you shop. So unlike a regular corporation where you get a dividend based on how much you own, in a co-op, if you have membership, you get it based on the excess after the net income. It's also good for the co-op as a whole because it reduces your taxable income. So that's one of the main options when you look at a tax form for a co-op. You actually divide your revenues into by owners and non-owners. So it's very literal. Because we don't have many other co-ops in our community, we tend to give that away all year long in discounts. So we felt like it was hard for people to wait on patron dividend. We have paid them out before, but we found that most people want it in discounts. So we manage a pretty substantial discount program that would make us a lot more profitable if we didn't do discounts, but we find that people like that better. So it's just a choice. I mean, it's not pure, like it would be pure if you did no discounts and then you wait till the end, you see what you had in that profit, and then you allocate it back in checks, and we've done that in checks and credit. But we think people like the discounts, so we do a lot of discount programs, discount days, and every year we struggle with it because the board has to make that decision. And I just say, look, if you decide you'd rather do a patron's dividend for whatever reason, just tell me at the beginning of the year, because otherwise I'm going to be giving it all out on discounts. Yeah, that's a good question. So, I'm sorry.
So who sets the wages for the people that work there? Does the board set them?
No, that's an operational decision. We have to get into some of that. We use, actually, I brought that because I was just involved with it ahead of time. We use a livable wage model that was, it's a new one developed by the National Cooperative Grocers Network that replaced and updated one from the Cooperative Grocer Network and that we used for about 9 years. We also checked one called the MIT Living Wage Calculator. We find that's always really low. I don't know, or it feels low, so,
Could you repeat the first one and then repeat what that NIT stands for?
Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Oh, MIT. I think you said NIT.
I know, like, I don't know
Okay, I'm
what
sorry. MIT.
University.
Wage calculator.
They had a living wage calculator, and So we look at full-time, individual. We wouldn't be able to look at the other levels, but we try to make sure our entry level is not $7.25 or whatever. It has been $10 an hour, correct? That's the minimum wage we pay. It's gone up to $10.55 right now in the current pay period. And then we have 3 or 4 other levels, and their minimum wage is based on what that entry level is. We find that we get a lot of people who've been working for the minimum wage coming to work for us, and we're able to provide a much better work environment than Walmart and other places that have been. So this is just sort of some summary. I don't know how we got 52% male, 40% female, but we're a little balanced there. We're striving to have more full-time employees, not only because we want to offer benefits to everyone, but because we feel like they're in the co-op. We have an awful lot of people apply to work for us that just want to work part-time because they're in school or something else, or they have families, so we are just keep working at that. 52% of our employees are owners, and we have a pretty wide age range of 20 to 61, average 41 years old.
Do you advertise as far as like with this service here, with this company here? Do you advertise, I guess, seeking more involvement as far as, hey, we want more employees, whatever, engagements process? Do you advertise, or how do you?
You mean, how do we get them to participate?
Yes.
We have a lot of things in place. We try different things to try to get people involved. It's hard. I mean, a lot of people just want to come and work and get a check. But we have several participation policies. If you, for example, if there's a policy that you don't like, we have a pathway for you to offer something better. So it could be anything from, I don't know, what the discount is for employees, or what hours we're open. We have a lot of different ways for people to participate. We're also working with starting a financial training for employees so they actually can understand exactly when they see, oh, our sales were this, or our margin was this, what that means. So at the very least, we hope whether they apply that to their work here, somewhere down the line, it could be beneficial to them wherever they work. And that they have a right to understand those things about where they work.
Have you ever had any employees on the board? And
It's not allowed.
oh, it's not.
Yeah. So, some co-ops do. I think, to me, the best model really is, that I know about personally, is Weaver Street, where they've got consumer owners, they've got worker owners, and then both have representation on the board. That's not how we're set up. I think it's healthy. I try to encourage our employees just to be in the room so that there's more feedback from people besides just me. And we're getting a little more successful at that. It's like, I'll come and see how these decisions are made, but no, there's no representation. So these are some of our benefits. As we grow, we keep trying to add new things. We just added a retirement plan last year. We have paid time off for part-time and full-time that can be used for vacation or sick leave. It's whatever anybody wants to use it for. 20% store discount. Birthday bonus, just to get paid whether you work on your birthday or not for 8 hours. Holiday pay. We have an alternative community benefit, so if you ride a bus or walk or ride a bike, you get money back on your check. We also are the only store in Knoxville that participate in something called the Shop and Ride program with our bus system, where if you buy, I think it's $10 for the groceries, you get a free bus pass. Everybody used to do that, now we don't listen to it anymore. So we try to really build up different ways for people to get there, and a gain sharing bonus with our employees, so that if we meet our marks, we give people a bonus every quarter. So far, we've been able to do that based on the number of hours they work. But full-time employees get health insurance, dental, vision, and then we have a new benefit, which is a fitness benefit. So if you do anything related to your personal health, I think right now you get $100 a year to pay it back. So you quit smoking, you join the Y, anything like that, and we're going to try to grow that so that people can be healthy. We don't do a lot of of direct advocacy. We try to support other organizations that do it through our donations, and sponsorships, because we really try to be nonpartisan and welcoming of all types of people in our co-op. So in East Tennessee, it's even different than Nashville. It's very, 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 the red tip of the red state. We try to make sure everyone understands our common ground is food, but then we sponsor and donate to other things that support what we're trying to do with food. We have a program called Nourishing Change that's been really successful this year. We had a 140% increase over last year. We donated $50,000, and it's just round up of like 10 cents here and 20 cents here at the register. And then we select organizations, nonprofits, at least 4 food pantries each year, and basically things that meet people's basic needs, keeping people out of, and then we do a couple of animal welfare organizations too. So that's become very successful. We have a lot of applicants for that. It's definitely a program we'd like to replicate further, because it's really, we administer it, and everyone else it's just really easy now for people.
Right here, like for instance, which area of Knoxville do you live in?
Well, the store's in North Knoxville.
Stores in North Knoxville. So like with the UUNIK, which is, mostly deal on African American males and youth, right?
Yeah.
In East Knoxville, where I'm from, it's like totally dilapidated. There's no economics in that area. What could be done to or what could we take as a model here to say, how do we take communities like that and with those young people, kind of get them heavily engaged in the cooperative mindset of just, hey, we can funnel you from this young age and get you kind of filtered into what we're doing here as far as jobs, and then have them kind of maybe bring something like what you're doing in North Knoxville to East Knoxville, where most of those young men and women are coming from. Has that been a thought?
I mean, I would say that we're located in North Knoxville, but only about 20% of our sales come from there. So we definitely serve the whole community, but I think that from my perspective, people who want something happening, and we've had a lot of interest from South Knoxville. I haven't really had anybody ask us about it in East Knoxville in terms of starting a store there or doing something. But I mean, we're open to anything, and I don't really know. I think if you have any ideas for how we can get more involved in East Knoxville, we definitely want to hear about them. But like the Unique Academy, their leader shops in our store, and he brings people he brings his kids in to see what we're doing there, and does a lot of field trips to get people out. So that's how we found out about it. They came into us and said, he applied, and everyone knew him in the store. So the committee that decides on who we're going to give to automatically wanted to include him because they already know what he's up to. So I'm sorry, I don't have a very good answer for that. We've been somewhat passive, I think, in that if people come and ask us for help, we're there, but we haven't done a whole lot of outreach to figure out where we should be so far. And these are just in-kind donations and significant sponsorships. A lot of these are people we work with year after year after year, and then try to make sure that within the context of, say, these sponsorships, these are organizations that are only working for these events, at least with other local or small organizations, so that we're working together with each other rather than, again, a corporate sponsorship of an event. Doesn't mean that they don't take that, but it just means that for the events that we sponsor, we're really focused on us being in the same group. And then finally, this is just a little graphic that shows kind of what you're getting at with the governance, but we have, this is at the end of June, that we had over 6,000 owners, and then they elect the board, they determine the long-range vision for the co-op through their policies, they guide the actions of me, and then I'm responsible. It's slim. It's not a lot of room for error when you're only going to get 1 or 2% of your sales as your net, because you need that for your equipment and your, upkeep of your building.
I've sold to Whole Foods, because I came in late, though.
Are you a farmer?
No, I'm a product producer.
Yeah,
And We sell to Kroger now,
Oh, good. That's
and,
good.
we have, I guess, 750 stores better.
Oh.
But then the retail sales, ooh, it's competitive, it's something.
Yeah, it really is.
Just gonna give a quick time check. We have 10
Okay.
minutes,
Okay.
and I wanted to encourage you to
Thank you.
fill out the little review sheet and hand it to me on your way out too. But just 10 minutes.
Yeah, and there are copies, somebody, I think I have a few more, I wasn't sure, but, of just some other details about stuff we've done this year, and then business cards, so please get in touch with me too if you have any questions or need any help with anything. We work with a lot of startup co-ops and try to help.
Is your vendors, is it like a scale tiered purchase the shelf space?
No.
No.
No, we don't do that. But we do try to give, like for our P6 products, if you're a co-op or you're a local small business, we try to make sure that you have the prime spot, because we want people to see that product. So we have a different perspective on slotting products in our store. Some people may not know, but you know, vendors will pay slotting fees in large grocery stores to get a certain space on the shelf. That's part of the whole thing, we don't do that. Yes, sir.
You all work with CBS Consulting?
We have worked with them, they work with our board. We did not work with them on our expansion as much. We worked with the development co-op with NCG, which I had just started. It was like a pilot program.
What is this?
Cooperative Development Services, are you all working with them or no? Yeah,
Not
okay.
directly.
We'll talk about that. They are a group of co-op consultants. They actually, they're food co-op consultants, but they actually do other stuff. They're based in, is it Minnesota? Anyway, I'm sorry, I can't remember. They do work with governance, they do work with ag co-ops. It's pretty broad, but we've worked with their food co-op consultants as they do market studies and just all kinds of support work.
I think what you guys are doing is really good and it's really data driven. I was talking with Freddie about, I guess, I want to get your opinion and your thoughts on this. My concern is that in North Knoxville, you know, there's a different paradigm about this than it is in East Knoxville, right? Which is the same thing here in Nashville. So in Knoxville, Leroy Thompson, former football player, tried to do the same type of thing with the market that he placed right across from Walter P. Taylor Homes. The community didn't support it because the community over there was used to going to Kroger or the Food City. And they would say that the produce was cheaper at Kroger's or Food City. So that store went down. And as you see now, Food City is closed as well. So here in Nashville, I'm afraid, and I want to work that out to see if we feel this type of experience in the South Nashville, near J.C. Napier, or even in Casey when they do this new redevelopment. What happens if the community doesn't support it because the paradigm is, oh, we go to Kroger, right? We go to Aldi, right? How do we get past that paradigm to say, no, this is how we, within this Casey redevelopment, you know, produce jobs, produce a future, you know, for the residents in here long term, but also having good quality produce. That's my concern.
I can give you my opinion on that grocery store situation. It was, I would say there's a couple of things. One is my understanding that it was very much a top-down development. There was a lot of money, it was an impoundment zone time period, and that was a big deal for Knoxville. A lot of federal money came in through HUD to do a lot of different things. Some of it was good, and some of it was just a bust, right? And there was a lot of different thoughts on that. It caused a lot of raw feelings, I think. And so I think there was a lot of money just dumped into that store, whereas I think, are you with Renaissance? Okay, that's what I thought. I'm really interested in your project, but that's a very much of a grassroots up development, and please correct me if I've got this wrong,
you're right.
but you know. And so they're building their stakeholders through the development of the co-op. Doesn't mean that they're not looking for outside help and funding, because any startup's gonna have to have that. But I really think the difference between those two was that they're not taking their time, but taking the time to build that community up, and other co-ops across the country are talking about it. I'm in a study group, and we're talking about what you you all are doing, trying to figure out how do we help with that? What do we do if we're already doing co-ops that started in the '70s and it's been this one thing, now there's this new wave of co-ops? What do we need to do to help that? So I would contrast that grocery store situation was like, let's dump a whole bunch of money into it, and there's like, money's not enough. And you don't wanna, you need the money, but it's not enough. There has to be a broad group of people who already bought into it, whether they're literally buying in with $25 or whatever, you know. And then the other thing is that store didn't, I don't think they knew what people wanted, because you say, oh, they're gonna go to Kroger, they didn't have the brands in that store that people are looking for when they go to Kroger. And I felt like that was a big mistake. It was like, you need to give people, if you're just wanting to have food access and you're wanting to replicate something, you gotta get the right product mix in there. And it just felt like it was not the right mix, you know. It was brands people weren't familiar with. These are just anecdotal things that people told me, like why they didn't want to shop there. And I don't know why it fell apart so fast. But
It sounds like they didn't know their audience.
Right, and they didn't know them because it was not that, I mean, I think some strong community leaders were part of that, but they didn't really think about day to day, who's gonna come here and shop here, and are you really sure that this is what they want? Because just to say a grocery store, that's not enough, you know?
You know, I think the point you're making is perfectly correct. The essence of a co-op is a group of people who come together and build an enterprise to meet their needs.
Yeah.
So when you say that somebody had done something like this was a group of people that came together to meet their needs. What happened there was not. It was an entrepreneur who created a business
To make money.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I can't read his mind, but most entrepreneurs nowadays create businesses to make money and maximize their profit. So they would come together with some idea. It could have been a good idea, it could have been a bad one, but it's not to meet the needs of the community, but it's to be profitable. It's how people organize businesses. That's all the difference in the world as to whether or not, when I hear somebody talk about something that the community doesn't buy into, it's pretty clear to me that the community didn't generate that idea. Because at the point the community generates that idea, they've already bought into it before they've created it. So that wasn't something that, so I mean, when people are trying to sell to the community this idea that they have, which ultimately would be something that's gonna make them a profit, which often is gonna be taken out of the community, then it's not a cooperative. It's altogether different. It could sell natural food, it could not sell natural food. In the community I'm working in, that's not what people want. They want the products they could find at a Food Line or a Kroger store. And so we've identified the distributors who can give us good prices on those things. So that's what people are gonna find in their store, because it's their store. And we can talk about this afternoon too, I did, you know, but it fitted into what you were talking about, to her about.
That's a great example, a sad example, but, you know.
If I could quickly say, ideas that came to my mind, and I'm working with Harry Medical College now. We're attracting farmers markets to several different churches. In the food budget, it's a little money sponsored by CDC. But it's important to change people's shopping habits. You gotta sort of trick them into wanting the services. So by offering things like companion shoppers, childcare, somebody to watch their kids while they go and shop, and teach them how to read labels, and then personal interventions like the cooking classes, the preserving classes, where people can build community. And people are really looking for somebody to connect with, you know, in a society where, like, I feel so glad being here with all y'all, because we're all like vibing on the same level. But so there's ways to really attract folks to change their behavior, but it does take time.
And I think that's a good example too. Like, we feel like we sort of made a mistake in our store. We were so desperate just to have a real store that people would feel comfortable in. It wasn't just like, is that a house or a store? What is that? But we don't have a community room. And that's like, oh, we're now all we're doing is thinking like, can we get this building across the street or what? Because it's not only just for internal like board meetings and staff training, everyone wants to hang out at our store. Like, our dining room is just full. People want to have their meetings there. They're like, can we rent the room? We're like, I don't know. Like, it's amazing how much people want to be with each other and to figure it out and for us to offer more. And so I think you're totally right.
Yeah, I think it's also carrying that awareness. well, about why you're purchasing, like if you go to Kroger, it's the packaging and it's that mindset of what I'm getting. And there was a little mention of like your store and then maybe more of a traditional, where it's not processed in a packaging, which is an expense, which brings up the price, where depressed areas are like that. If it's bringing that awareness, it's like, okay, it's just a market style, like there's a place in West Nashville called the Love Building, and it's just straight from the farm into a basket, and you just pick and choose what you want, rather than, and I don't know if that's the type of model or what, but it is trying to make that transition, access for nutritious food to, lower income, and still making that access.